please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I please have a roll call?
Commissioner Jacobs.
Here.
Commissioner Robbins.
Here.
Commissioner Geraldo.
Here.
Commissioner Dorhofer. Vice President Senti.
Here. New business items for this meeting will follow the visitors and guests public comment period. Items under the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Omnibus vote agenda items are minutes of the special board meeting, June 22nd, 2023, minutes of the regular board meeting, June 22nd, 2023, minutes of the closed session, June 22nd, 2023, and payables and payroll through July 27th, 2023, in the amount of $1,147,316.67. May I have a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Geraldo.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Yes.
Vice President Senti.
Yes. At this time, the board will hear remarks from the public. Remarks will be limited to 3 minutes and no board response will be given. We're almost there, John. Are there any remarks to be heard? I don't see any guests in the audience except our two invited guests making presentations tonight. So we will move on to that. At this time, the board would like to invite John Buckner to the podium. John is the Executive Director of the Special Recreation Association of Central Lake County and is here this evening to provide his annual update. Welcome, John. Always nice to see you.
Thank you very much, Carol. Thank you for inviting me to come again this year. Always happy to come and meet in front of the board. I do have a couple things I just wanted to hand out real quick, just so for your information. First of which has not been made public yet. It's our brochure that's going to be going out in the fall. And we just started to print our brochures again
Yeah.
on a little more limited scale, but our participants and families like to have things in their hands. So it's also, quite frankly, probably our best marketing tool. This
Yeah.
next thing is something new for us this year. We created a sponsorship pamphlet on all the different events that we do, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. First of all, I wanted to thank the,
Need to speak into the mic, John.
sorry about that.
Recording.
First of all, I wanted to thank the Vernon Hills Park District maintenance crew for helping us out. We hosted a Special Olympics softball tournament this 2 Sundays ago, or Sunday ago, over at Deer Path Park. And the staff who ran the program said how nice the fields were groomed and everything was ready to go. So thank you very much for having that ready. What I'd like to do, because I know your meeting is, you have a packed meeting tonight, is just give you a general overview of the Vernon Hills Park District and your participation in our programs this past year. Obviously, since the last time I was here, it's been a little different. We're no longer in your park. We had our home at 290 Oakwood since 1998, and went through a few things there, including the fire and everything, but it was a great home for us for many years, and we enjoyed the relationship with the staff, especially the maintenance people who we saw on a regular basis, just all the recreation staff in general. And we missed being there, but we moved on to a really nice office now, and we're housed at Mundelein Village Hall, and we're at the 2nd level, and it's a space that's perfect for us. And quite frankly, it puts us right in the middle of all of our communities, which makes it easy for our staff to get out and see how things are going, and it's cut down on our gas bill too, so that's always our fuel bill, so that's good. Just a few things that I wanted to talk a little bit about is just the use of facilities. We still use the Park District facilities. Our goal is always to try to spread out our programming as much as we can all throughout our member agency communities, and Fortunately for Vernon Hills residents, you're pretty close to being in the middle, but our job is to try to make the outermost boundaries feel like they're part of the center too. And that's where we do the pickup points and drop-off points and use our transportation to, we have a program in Vernon Hills, we may have a drop-off and pickup in Lake Zurich, go around Lake, et cetera. And that's what we try to do to accommodate all of our residents. But we use really all of your facilities. Deer Path Park, we still use Hartman. We rent Hartman out. We run our adult day program there, which is a very, very popular program. We have our sensory room. If you ever would like to see really a state-of-the-art sensory room, we have an agreement with the Hawthorne School District to have it over at the School for Young Learners. So if you'd ever like to see that sensory room and just get a little tour, and maybe if you had a rough day, kind of relax a little bit in there, it's really an impressive room. And we have a good partnership with the school district that uses it throughout the year. And in turn, they allow us to use their school at no cost in the summer for our camp program, which is really a benefit for everyone. Just a few of the numbers that I wanted to run past you a little bit is we're finally getting kind of more in a state of normalcy after going through everything in 2020 to now, is our programs are getting back to normal. In fact, they're really pretty much like they were in 2019. The biggest difference that we see is just the incredible increased behaviors. I don't know quite how else to put it, is that there was a regression among a lot of our participants, that when they weren't in school, and then just ever since I've been in the field, almost every year you start to see more and more advanced levels of disability and behavior coming into the special rec programs, just by probably the modern science, keeping people alive and allowing them to function. And that along coupled with the just complete regression of skills that they lost during the year of 2020, we've seen a tremendous amount. We right now have around 60 to 65 participants at any given time in our summer camp programs, and we probably have 30 to 35 staff. And that's really to make sure that we have a safe ratio for our participants. I can tell that just by the number of checks I signed. It takes me forever, it seems like, to sign the checks for our part-time staff. And we always try to make sure we maintain a safe ratio for all of our programs. For Vernon Hills, in 2022, you had just under 40 participants, and that could be from a young person to more of a senior citizen. We have a number of people in our programs that are over the age of 60, and it's still active in our programs. And the number that is, excuse me, probably more impressive for Vernon Hills is what we call points of contact, and that's each day of service. That could be for like an 8-week fitness program that we have in your fitness center that would count as 8, versus a one-time special event that only counts as 1. So we all know statistics can kind of be played with. So we use the points of contact to really show how much our participants are involved. And for Vernon Hills, you had just under 3,000. So that's pretty significant with the number of participants that you had and the number of times they were actually served on each given day. 2,952 to be exact, give or take. Inclusion, you had 10 people who were in inclusion. Our other job with you is to work with your recreation staff to provide inclusion assistance, and we work together to determine what is the most successful and reasonable accommodation to make for an individual. And it could be just our staff providing more guidance and more of a way of how to do a program, or it could be the help placing an aid, and that we work with you to provide that most reasonable accommodation. In 2022, you had 10. This summer, you have 7. I'm sorry, 6. You have 6 people in various programs, mainly day camp right now. That's where you're going to see the bulk of your inclusion cases will be in camp and in your after-school programs, swim lessons, things like that. But the bulk of them are going to be camp and after school. A couple things that I just wanted to touch on a little bit is I did mention this, that I handed out the sponsorship pamphlet, and our foundation will have its annual Tree Fest on November 3rd, which, and our golf outing is on September 18th. Those are events that the Vernon Hills Park District has always supported, and I want to thank Jeff for being a big proponent of our events, because ultimately, I think he understands that the more successful our fundraising events are, the less we have to come back to our member agencies to say, hey, we need a little bit more money to buy a wheelchair accessible bus, which has gone from $60,000 now to $110,000. We can thank Amazon for that, no vehicles on the road. But that's just an example of what, we haven't had to come back to our member agencies for any of our vehicles as any kind of an increase in years because of the success of our foundation and the golf outing as well. Just the golf outing we do use to make a little bit of money. We raised close to $100,000 to put the sensory room in, and we didn't have to ask our member agencies for a penny for that. And that's what we try to use our fundraising events for, is to do the special things. We use the money that we get from our member contributions to do what I consider our grassroots programming. And the special things we try to fundraise for. And we raised $100,000 to build the sensory room. So that being said, I think we've had a very successful year. We are starting a brand new program. We're taking over a program from the Mundelein Park District called the Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies program. It's for disabled veterans. And we'll be taking that program over in September. And with that, we'll be adding another staff. We'll be up to 10 full-time staff, and we have over 140 seasonal staff this year, during the year. So we're growing. We're hoping we're doing a good job. I'm pretty confident that we are for our member agencies, and we look forward to continually trying to be creative and advance programming for people with special needs. And with that, I'd like to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions for John? I have a couple, John. The inclusion that you mentioned, I wasn't sure of the percentage. Is that increasing or decreasing from maybe the past year or generally over time? And, you know, I mean, I guess I always think, is it better to push for more inclusion? If you could just talk about that a bit.
Sure. Our goal really is to let the person decide. And we will give a pretty honest assessment on what they may see in our programs and what they might see in your programs, and let them decide what's going to be best for them, for their child. And then we'll work with whatever their goal is. As far as the increase, I would say it's been pretty constant over the last number of years. I don't think I will say there are some SRAs that probably push it more from a philosophical standpoint, and I think that mine and I think the agency standpoint has really been to let the individual choose, and not to say what's better for you. Let you make the decision, and I think that's just the way I've chosen to handle it. And I think it's we don't say what's right or what's wrong. It's just what's best for you. But I'd say it's been fairly constant over the last number of years.
Okay. And the other was just more an observation, something I didn't know and that I just wanted to share. I do sometimes talk to other park districts in Illinois, and they don't all have, you know, the caliber of CLC that we have with you or with some of the agencies in Illinois. You can bid that out to any type of a provider, and I wasn't quite aware of that. And I just think we really very happy of the caliber of program we have, and we thank you for everything you and all the agencies do, and Jeff too, of course, because you're a board member. So just nice to see you. I don't have anything else. I just wanted to mention that because it was a little bit of a surprise for me.
Well, I thank you. Thank you for that. I know it's one thing I always try to say is it's one of the things that our state government gets a lot of flack for different things. And I think it's one thing that the state of Illinois has done better than any state in the country, and that's doing what we do, and that's allowing local government to cooperate together and be a governmental pool, and that it's the best use of resources from population to finances to really just about everything. And all of the SRAs do a good job. It's just that we're all different sizes, and we are probably right in the middle of different sizes of the different associations. But it is something that I'm very proud of, that I think whenever we go across the country, we can always say that we're among the leaders, because I think that's why they got rid of the gold medal award, because the SRAs from Illinois kept winning it all the time. In fact, you were the last one, so congratulations for your gold medal.
Thank you. I didn't know that either. Well, nice to see you. I think we're all good in terms of information, and this is helpful as well. So keep up the good work. Okay. So now we are the first item of new business, right? John was not new business. I don't know.
We gotta make it on so that we're just kind of changing the agenda.
Under the roll call, Vice President, on the first page, when we opened the meeting, there was a statement to be made for new business being moved. Right before the omnibus vote.
Oh, I do think I said that. Okay. All right. So should I not say that the next thing we're doing is an item of new business?
No,
it is. Okay, right. The board will now hear new business. The first item of new business is the presentation of the 2023 Community Needs Assessment Survey. And so before we start, but welcome Jared, we just want to make a statement as a group to the, as an entire group to the community that as a board and professional staff, we feel we have the responsibility to understand what matters most to our community that we serve. Our residents deserve the best programs, facilities, and outdoor spaces. Our job is to confirm we understand the needs and priorities, and then use our public funds wisely to meet what is requested. We are deeply committed to community outreach. We know from experience that we make better decisions when we engage the community in our decision making. And that is why we hired an independent Illinois firm that specializes in helping park districts listen and gather community input to find out how residents currently use our parks and what they know about park district operations and funding, and to understand community needs and desires. The co-founder of this firm is here with us tonight to present findings from a recent survey and answer questions from the board, and if we had anyone from the public. These survey findings will help us to do better planning, confirm priorities, and sort out what we can do within our available resources and when we can do it. The last survey we did was in 2019. This time we asked even more questions, and we got a higher percentage of responses from our residents, which we're happy about. We also asked residents, asked how residents like to get their information about the park district, so we can do an even better job sharing timely and accurate information and keep residents informed. So we hope that you'll agree that the survey findings that Jared will share tonight will help us plan for and prioritize future capital projects and programs, and also help us to put the future of the Vernon Hills Park District in focus. So at this time, the board would like to invite Jared Scheineman, to the podium and make this presentation. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Vice President Sente. Always difficult to follow an SRA, you know. They're providing recreation, which we all believe in, and we all believe is important to the people that need it most. So wonderful to hear from Mr. Buckner this evening as well. So just good evening, commissioners and staff. It's wonderful to be here again in Vernon Hills and to see you all. I am very grateful to be invited a second time to help you engage with your residents in your community. I believe public engagement is central to what park districts do. So it's a real honor for you to invite me to be part of your team in this process. In the last 15 years, I've worked in roughly 250 communities in Illinois on a variety of different studies. And that's given me a unique perspective on park districts, which I hope I can share in light of your data tonight. But I also want to tell you that I feel your park district is rare in many ways, and one of those is just my interactions between your board and your staff. The words I would use to describe you all is that your communication is great, your collaboration, hospitality, care, and professional are second to none. So I just wanted to thank you for making me feel welcome and included in your process and your community. So I'm told I've got roughly 30 minutes to present this evening. And as a new member of a board in the last 4 years, I feel like I've served my penance well, watching presentations drag on and on and on, and I understand. So hopefully I will stick to 30, but I just want to let you know, feel free to stop me anytime. If you have questions, please do. It's my sole interpretation of the data that I'm sharing with you tonight, but also I'm very fortunate to work with Dr. Mike Mulvaney from Illinois State University. He's the chair of the Recreation and Park Administration department there. And we're giving you the results based and some interpretation on what we think. But you all are on the ground here and know your community. So you may interpret them differently, and I'd love to hear you share that as well. So thanks for letting me give you that little bit of an intro, and let's get started. So here's the framework for the presentation and the study. What do we want to set out to achieve in doing a survey of the community? This is just a brief overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're going to review the goals. We're going to find out about the methods we use to solicit participation and the characteristics of those who responded. I want to put together some of what I feel are future implications for your park district that came from the data set. And then just some general trends in marketing and conservation, and then use patterns as it relates to health and wellness. All very important things as we think about what a park district does. So what were the goals for the study? The questionnaire is always built on a foundation of goals. They come from your past survey, and then as well as the conversations that I had with you all prior to launching the survey. And it's just a map for how we're going to get where we're going to go. So what did we want to gain from engaging with residents? Well, we wanted to look at current patterns of participation, wanted to know what their preferences were for marketing and publicity. Are they satisfied? Was another set of questions we wanted to ask. Are there unmet needs or desires? What are the demographic characteristics and how does that match with your community in general? And then overall, we want to know, are they aware of certain things? Do they agree with certain statements? And then what do they think about some of your budgetary questions that we want to ask them? So how do we reach out to the community? And then who responded and how does that match with trends and your community? As you can see, the size of the survey significantly increased this year, which Vice President Sente mentioned at the outset. We went from 34 questions in 2019 to 45 questions in 2023. For example, we did another survey recently that had a similar size, and it was the second time we had done a survey for them, and their response went down in half to around 450 respondents. So even though you were slightly below where you were previously, we're very pleased with the response that you received. How did we do that? We had 4 types of data collection. We did in-person intercept surveys. We had email campaigns and social media campaigns and postcard reminders that went out to all of your residents. Thank you very much, Cheryl, for your help, and thank you for all of you that engaged with residents to get them to participate as well. It was tantamount to the response that we received. But I also want to share with you too, don't think of this in terms of a survey as a sample that we delivered. It is a census of the population. We consider it to be that as you sent a postcard and really focused on trying to give every resident the opportunity to participate this time. So what was your response? You had more residents that responded this time than last time. 79% of the people that responded last time said they were from the village, and 90% said they were this time. You also saw some of the major players. You had 3 neighborhoods last time, Deer Path being the highest response last time, that made up a majority of the response. This time, they still were in the same top 3, but you had a much broader cross-section of the community, which I would attribute to your postcard campaign, making it available for more people to participate in more unique ways. Also, something that is encouraging news is that your diversity in your response slightly increased as well. In particular, those that self-identified as Asian American increased from 5% to 9%. So as an initiative, and the DEI committee was concerned about making sure you're getting out to all the populations in your community, you are moving in that direction of accomplishing that with this survey. So thinking about your future and several categories that I felt were important that I wanted to lead with. One of them is your budgetary questions and some of the ones with financial implications. So that's where I wanted to start this evening as it relates to the actual data set. So one of the questions we asked was, what about what percent of your property tax goes to the Vernon Hills Park District? Would they estimate without actually looking at their tax bill? And by percentage, almost 71% believe they're spending 2 to 4 times as much as they're actually spending to support the Vernon Hills Park District. Over a quarter of the respondents believe that the Park District accounts for 11% or more of their property tax bill. I think this just implies that education is key in the future of letting your residents know how they're supporting your agency in general financially. Next, we wanted to know, what advice would you give the Park District in light of a couple of statements related to your budget? And a majority said they're willing to pay more to support current operations and capital projects. 67% said that. I would caution you that this is not a strong majority. If you're looking at 75% or higher that would be really interested, you're not quite there. But you do have a number of encouraging positives. So in this case, almost 1/3 said they would support, they would be willing to pay for capital or operations, either or, which is almost both of them are almost higher than those that said no, they're unwilling to support anything. So in normal cases, when we ask a similar question, it's yes, no, or I need more information. And you might see it's skewed in a different direction where no might be slightly higher, but in this case, you have what could be a multi-pronged approach where you're saying, a majority of people are a third of the respondents might be supportive of capital. A third of the respondents might be supportive of operations. And if you work together and put those two together, they might be willing to pay in a multi-pronged approach. So a variety of appeals, education, and engagement are very important in the future as you look at this results. How about satisfaction levels? So what's some messaging that you can use to share about the Park District's value in the future? 70% is the average nationally for those that are satisfied and very satisfied as they respond to these similar type of questions. So you should be pleased to know that 80% expressed that they were very satisfied or satisfied with the Vernon Hills Park District overall. You also had very high marks for parks, fields, paths, playgrounds, and staff. Staff is a particularly important measurement for satisfaction levels because nationally, staff satisfaction levels have gone down since the pandemic, which makes sense. People are divisive, people are having issues with other people in general. So for your staff to continue in a trajectory of having satisfied or very satisfied responses from the community is also a commendable thing considering isolation and divisiveness in the pandemic in general. Safety is on everyone's radar these days, and it has different meanings for individuals across different groups. So for 76% of your respondents to say that they were satisfied with safety at your parks and facilities is also a very important number, in my opinion. As you look at being a welcoming and inclusive park district, Also, for 90% of your respondents to say that their household was properly represented by the Vernon Hills Park District is something that is important for you to know too. Something that you might not necessarily see at other park districts in general, if you're looking at a level of agreement for agree or strongly agree if the park district is important to the community, you do not see numbers like this that say almost 94% of your respondents believe that. So that's an important message I feel you should carry to your community and wave as a flag for the Vernon Hills Park District. So as we think about priorities and what residents said were their needs and desires for the future, we looked at several questions, and in general, one of them was we asked them to rank what their priorities were, 1 through 4. 1 being their top priority, 4 being still a priority, but less than 1 through 3. 15 years ago, if you looked at these questions, pools were by far and away number 1. Recreation centers were also very important, especially in smaller communities. They felt like this was the silver bullet that would keep people in those towns. But in the last 10 years, that's shifted entirely to trails and pathways, and those have remained as tops for a very long time, as evidenced by your survey results as well. We have seen a growth in adult activities in general, which is number 2. And I think that just speaks with the boomer population that they are active and they are involved in everything and want activities. It's great to see your aquatic center at number 3 because you're making some waves, pun intended, there, and doing some activities. So I'm glad that that's working out for you. No, always want to keep the pool fresh for sure. But no surprise to you, dog park is important. Special events, everybody wants some kind of social interaction after the pandemic, and we've seen those results for special events increase across the board, as well as yours. Your use of special events went up significantly compared to your last survey. Canoeing and kayaking is one of the fastest growing sports in America, as well as pickleball, which was on the radar too. But no surprise, outdoor fitness stations and playgrounds are also things that are either have been long-term important or are trending activity again. As you look at this slide, I want you to pay particular attention to none. Existing offerings are adequate. It's at the bottom at 7.8%. It's very rare for me to see this in survey results. Most of the time, if communities aren't willing to pay for resources or don't have needs that they want or that are unmet, it's at the top or in the top 5. So to have it at the bottom is something that I don't see very often. So I wanted to call that out to your attention as something that's important. Any questions so far? Okay. So let's get into some of the trending areas that I felt like I heard were important from you as commissioners as well as staff. So I wanted to touch on conservation type topics as being important in general. Overall, I felt respondents had a good impression of the Vernon Hills Park District's relationship with the environment, and a majority have sought some kind of improvement to expanding native areas. I would say that a couple of topics they are interested in, but tend to be contentious in general across Illinois. Those are no-mow zones and non-paved walking trails or paths. In general, communities are supportive of those, but there's a strong minority that comes out against them in general because they think a native area might be, or a no-mow zone might include some kind of weeds. In general, most park operations people don't want weeds in their no-mow zones either. They want it to be showy native flowers. So that's not surprising. But then also non-paved walking trails tend to be less accessible. So you really just need to have some kind of particular campaign that goes along with that to say, hey, we have a paved path that goes through a beautiful natural area such as Sullivan Woods that you can also use and have the same experience. So it's just about messaging, I think, in those couple of categories, in my opinion. As far as marketing trends go, I would love to be like Jack and create an air guitar video for you today like I saw on your Facebook, but here's some trends that are pretty common across parks and recreation in Illinois and nationally in general. Print continues to shift to online. Your brochure in 2014 had 83% of your respondents saying that they preferred that method. Went down to 64% in 2019 and now 58% in 2023. Email has been opposite. So from 2014, 16% preferred it. In 2019, it was 47%, and in 2023, it's 59%. This fits with other statistics across the board. I would remind you also that as you consider about being welcoming and inclusive, 10% of your population in general, at least nationally, according to Pew Research, they don't have daily access to reliable internet. But I would also tell you then as well that if you have adults who are interested in activities, particularly older adults, they tend to be a little bit more nervous about using the online options. So just giving them another kiosk or availability at your facilities will be an important thing as you consider this in the future. I would also say your response and your work from your marketing team in a multi-pronged approach to get people to respond to the survey matches well with what the preferences are here. If you look at how people responded, they did very similar to what they preferred according to the survey results. So kudos to Cheryl and her team for making that all happen.
Jared, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Printed Park District program guide, is
Yes.
that online or is that printed?
We did not specify that in the data set.
Yeah, I wanted to,
More than likely, it's our paper guide is what we've seen from the past.
I want to follow up on that question, just because you do these surveys and with other park districts in Illinois and even around the country. Thanks for mentioning how the percentage has gone down, but it's still, over half of our community is looking to get their information that way. There are some park districts, I don't know if they have different numbers in their communities that have chosen not to, print a brochure. Do you have any general additional observations about that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So the pandemic saw many make a shift to virtual program guide. It was a high percentage of park districts that just decided to do that, but many have brought them back as well and have printed options. Some have chosen to have stacks of them available at their recreation center in case people would prefer to have the printed version. But the trend is starting to move in the direction where if you work with your recreation software provider, some are choosing to cancel the program guide in general. I would just say that it's definitely a minority. You're probably only looking at 5% of park districts that have canceled it altogether. Those that have shifted from print are still definitely consider virtual to be a very important option. Something to consider too is that 66% of people register for programs online. So to be able to have a phone-ready version is also something that's very important when you consider those who are going to try and register too.
Thank you.
Yep. Lastly, I just want to touch on your use patterns and how those results played out and are presented to you. So as we talk about parks and open space and how often respondents had used these, your park and open space use is honestly astonishing to me. In general, park use nationally increased by 87% during the pandemic. But for you to go from 93% in 2019 to 96%, that seems like it's almost impossible to move the needle where you have almost 100% of your respondents who have gone to one of your parks at least once. I would say that is evidence to me that your parks are truly something for everyone, that they have one space that they are able to go to where they can find something to do. One thing I do want to highlight, though, is that your core use, those who participated in your parks or open space or visited more than 25 times in the year, those who we would consider to be core users, declined from 56% to 43%. As someone I consider to be a core user of parks myself, I am looking to go to a park space off times in spaces that are less used, so I can find some kind of solitude and be there alone. My impression is that those people that are core users are finding new places to go, as those who have typically used them less are using those park spaces more. One of the things that I connect in your data set with this is that those that said they have visited the Forest Preserve District in the last year has also increased. So I would guess those core users of your parks are also using the forest preserves possibly more. But you still have a huge chunk of your population, even those that use them not as frequently as those main users, that have increased and are taking up more space and growing in their use.
Jared, do you think another reason could though possibly be because the Lake County Forest Preserve system is a connected trail that literally crosses counties? And so some of those people might just be looking for more connection, or do you attribute it more to the maybe wanting to find more solitude? Because as someone who lives across from one of the Lake County Park districts, there's not much solitude there.
Busy too, yeah.
They're also busy.
Sure.
So I was just wondering if that could also be a reason.
Yeah, core users tend to have different types of experiences they're looking for, like you referenced, maybe a longer trail. Those that may use your parks are looking for recreation activities, and they're playing a sport, or they're doing some kind of a different activity than what you would experience in a forest preserve. So the user type is definitely different too. I would agree with that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Next, we asked them to fill in the blank and tell us what park space does your household visit the most often? I think it probably is no surprise to you that Deer Path and Century were the top two. One thing I want to highlight here is that 11.2% was themed as other. So imagine a wide variety of your parks. People knew them and wrote them down on their survey. That tells me that people have their own spaces that they know and love. To be able to remember the name, I talk to people frequently in Champaign or other communities that I go to, and they tell me, oh yeah, I go to this park with the basketball court, I go to this park with the lake, I go to the, they don't know the names, but for your people to know that, that's evidence to me that they value their park and their space that they go to. How about path use? So almost 91% said they visited one of your paths in the last 12 months. And your core users, over 53%, said they've used them 25 or more times in the past year. That's really high use for your pathways. That speaks to the amount of maintenance and the amount of time your staff are using in order to care for those pathways with that kind of high use. With the increase in park use, that makes sense. Also, with walking being one of the most common activities that people choose to do for recreation, it seems like you have really great options here in the community, and they're loved and used according to what your respondents have said. Next, I just wanted to touch on your competition and how are they using other recreation providers. Very similar to last time, the Forest Preserve District, other local park districts, and the library providing recreation activities were the top three. I always cringe when I see the library on their list, as I feel they've had a crisis of mission and should come to the park district as the place that knows how to run programs and partner with the park district. And I'm sure you guys do that in your community. I'm not knocking your library, but that's just an interesting observation there. So, as you can imagine, golf use is up exponentially and has stayed up since the pandemic. Travel sports are also up in your respondent pool and are also up nationally. Fits with the trend, and those are looking to specialize, get their kids to specialize in sport. But I also feel it fits with those who are looking to socialize, because many families end up spending a weekend together and meet other families and get to know each other and like that situation and being able to socialize and meet new people. So those are all trends that fit in with current pandemic observations as well.
Jared?
Yeah.
Did we mention other fitness providers in 2019? I
We
don't
did.
recall.
We did, yes.
We see a increase or decrease there?
Nothing that was notable over 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones that were over 10% were the Forest Preserve District, golf, and travel sports.
Thank you.
Mhm. Events were way up. Last time, I think you were around 43%. This time, residents or respondents said at least one time they had gone to one of your events. Almost 60% of them said that. Like I said, people have just been starving for some kind of in-person activity, social opportunity. When we asked them a follow-up question, which I'll show you later, and asked them why were they participating, what's the purpose for participating in special events, social interactions was way higher than any other response, which isn't out of the question.
So events are defined as special events and not classes.
Correct. Well, we didn't give anyone a specific definition for any of the responses. So we let them determine what was an event in their mind.
Thanks.
Lakeview Fitness, roughly 46% said they visited one or more times. I want to highlight what we would consider to be the core users here. So 36% said they visited Lakeview more than 25 times in the last year. I find this to be of particular importance because if you look at national fitness trends, 18% of those that have memberships say that they've visited more than 25 times. So you're almost double for those that are using the facility. Lacey can confirm with her actual usage numbers from people scanning in, but one thing you can also consider is that 60% of people that have memberships never darken the doors of a facility they have memberships for. So members, they keep a facility solvent, they make it cost recovery possible, but park districts are in the business to make people healthy. So if you're looking at 36% of your respondents that are saying they're visiting that many times at your facility, it's meeting its mission. And those are people that we can hopefully leverage as a park district to get more people invested and involved there. We followed that question up with, well, if you don't use the facility, that's the $1 million question. Do you know about some of the things we've updated? And I would say, if I was looking at this question and I had never been in the Lakeview Fitness, I could probably guess that the first 4 were amenities that were offered.
Right.
I could guess that weights were there, I could guess the pool is there, locker rooms, weight training equipment. But as you get down into the more specialized things like the spa, babysitting, over 50 classes, outdoor fitness patio, the numbers of people that know those things start to go down. So maybe that's an indicator that some of the specialized services that you offer could continue to be promoted that set you apart as Lakeview Fitness compared to some of your competition. I think what indicated when people come into the facility, they come back. Lacey's knocking them into shape when they get there. So I hope that that trend can continue as well. You look at programs, 63, almost 64% said they had participated in one of your programs. 56% is the national average, so you're slightly above average there. But I would caution you that in program-related questions, people tend to respond with their ideals. So, for example, if you go to the doctor and they ask you, how many alcoholic drinks do you have in a week? And you say 1, they say it's probably really 3. That's what they write down. So, same patterns we see with responses for programs. They tend to say, we want different times, we want a different variety of programs, we want all these different things. Park districts adjust, and then people don't show up. So I've talked with Mr. Ritter before and you all before about how you need to really, as it relates to programs, I would caution people to trust wallets and not words. So people are willing to spend for your programs and attend and look at those numbers based on what people are saying in the survey. That's a more important route to take as it relates to program numbers, in my opinion. How about primary reasons or purpose for participating? So each one of these areas we followed up with a question, why do you participate? or why do you choose not to? We took all those handwritten responses or hand-typed responses, and we themed them and put them in categories. So here's where we see some of the really important things that people are saying. I believe they're looking for some kind of escape. They want to truly get outside, as it relates to parks in particular. They're looking for some kind of health and wellness activity. That's what they said they wanted with pathways and programs. They said before, special events, they were really looking for a social outlet with those. And obviously, if they're going to Lakeview Fitness, obviously, in my opinion, they're looking to have some kind of health improvement that's going to happen there. So on the flip side, why would they choose not to participate in each one of those categories? Well, we frequently see people say, we don't have enough time, we're too busy. And that means, I think, that they're choosing to use their time just in a different way. They say things too also like, I choose other options. But I feel if you're doing the right work, there's always going to be competition for the particular things that you're putting forward to your community. So you're always going to have people that are going to make other choices based on the good work that you're doing. Interesting trends in those that choose not to participate in particular areas that I want to highlight. Just nationally, it seems that people respond and say, I don't have kids anymore. I don't use the park district because I don't have children in my family. Which is sad because a majority of people in previous question had said, we want some kind of adult activities. So there's some kind of awareness imbalance in communities in general of what a park district is really for, in my opinion. And then we talked ourselves about, well, if people are not choosing Lakeview Fitness, is there really a trend that's going on that shows that people are using home equipment, or they're watching YouTube videos, or they're doing a variety of their own home exercise? And this was one of the responses we saw the most as it relates to Lakeview Fitness. So not a surprise, in my opinion. So I want to leave you with a couple of notes on what I feel is really exciting path forward for your agency. You've got some good data that I think you can use to educate residents about your budget, and also to capitalize on their value of the park district, their really tremendous satisfaction with what you do, and their high use numbers of your park district amenities. I would encourage you to use informal and formal methods as much as you can to highlight and confirm these results. It could be a coordinated chaos in some ways. A broad variety of targeted focus of engagement strategies are going to be important for you moving forward. I just want you to know data is data. There's lots of it, and it's a big report, and I've spent a lot of time talking to you tonight, but as you think of things in the future, you can always feel free to reach out to Jeff and have him ask me a question, or I'm happy to respond to your questions as well if you want to contact me directly. But I want to thank you again for allowing Campfire Concepts to participate in your survey. I think it's a real honor to be part of a study in which a local government is willing to listen to its residents and move forward together with them in impactful ways from the results that they've received. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you immediately have that come to mind as well.
Do we have any additional questions? I just want to thank you for coming, Jared. We used you again because we got so good results the last time we did, and this was very helpful. I hope our community is able to listen to this and find this also helpful. Jeff, do we have yet, or will we, a copy of this on the website, or is it already there?
Yeah, it's not there yet. Just wanted to make, if there were any,
You hear it first,
questions,
right?
yeah, that you wanted to hear it. I just wanted to say, just through the whole process from the start, that, Jared's, his availability and accessibility. I mean, we would text late at night, weekends on, just follow up, him and Mike, that were extremely responsive. I'd get answers like next day. We'd get information from some of the leadership team of some of the things we wanted to see changed, and it was done within a really prompt, you know, and so we had a timeline, we got it delivered in that timeline. So just, I think, on behalf of the staff, Jared, I just wanted to thank you and Mike for just your prompt attention to it and your delivery and your professionalism through the whole process. And it was good. It was good results, I think, so thank you.
One question from
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Jared, I do have a question. You know, you've received all these statistics on the survey. Have you ever done a follow-up survey just to make sure that these numbers are accurate?
Yeah,
Then a second one, just to make sure that, hey, you know what, the second one, the percentages are coming in line with the first one, so we can feel good about these numbers.
yeah, absolutely, Commissioner Robbins. That's a great question. What we tend to encourage park districts to consider doing as a follow-up is a different type of, or a different method of participation in engagement. So in particular, we encourage them to organize multiple focus groups. They can be subsets of neighborhoods or affiliates or people that have participated in the survey that you can reach out to and using multiple methods like that, because some people are willing to respond to a survey, but other people, that's just not something that they want to take time for. But other people feel like they want to be able to interact with those sitting around a table and bouncing ideas off of and coming up with a solution together or an answer together. There's just different ways that people participate. So we've confirmed results by doing formalized focus groups with transcription and coding and a new but similar data set in that method.
And we have those scheduled
Great.
with our future strategic planning workshops that we've established some dates with our consultant, and that we'll invite the public to. A handful of those that we've scheduled.
We don't have names, though. I mean, this is all anonymous, I'm assuming, these surveys, right?
Some individuals responded, you offered a $100 Amazon gift card, so some individuals responded with their name and address in order to join that raffle, so
Okay,
it could be possible to reach out to them.
good.
Yeah, do we know offhand, Jared, how many people filled in the blank, if you will?
I'd have to check. I don't know for sure.
Okay, okay. That'd be good to know.
Yeah.
I think, and just to get maybe, a roster on that so that, if we do have some future public meetings, to encourage people that we can reach out to in that respect. Yeah.
Yeah, roster, where they live, and if we have that, that would
Yeah.
be really, really helpful.
Yeah.
But this is a little different than a random sample. But do you feel confident that based on the numbers we received, that this would be representative data that we can rely on?
Yeah, based on the other survey census type studies that we've done, the response is higher. It's a little bit different in that you are engaging with individuals who come to your events or your facilities that may be using them that are not residents. And they indicated that in the survey. So even with the 90% of your 900 and some odd people that responded, it's still higher than other numbers we've received in recent surveys that are similar. So to generalize to the population based on the census, we're confident that it's appropriate and valid.
Okay. Thank you again for coming. Excellent job, and safe travels back to Champaign.
Thank you. Thank you all. Good to see you all here.
Jared.
Okay. At this time, the second item of new business is the 2023 Chain of Authority District Organizational Chart. May I have a motion to approve the chart as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs? Commissioner Geraldo?
Yes.
Vice President Senti?
Yes. The third item of new business is the 2023 Recreation Statistics Report. At this time, the board would like to invite Tom Ritter to the podium to deliver this report.
Try to keep it to a couple minutes, Tom, okay?
I like my numbers, I know.
I know you do. Over here at
Thank you.
9.
Yeah, in the last few years, we've started providing this information to the board annually. And as summer's come to an end and we have a very confident assessment of what our enrollment figures were, it's a good time to bring this to you and share it with you. So, as you can see on this memo, I have 3 years here to compare. And what's nice is we're past COVID, so 2021, 2022, and 2023 are starting to show what we've heard from John Buckner and Jared about how things are starting to get back to normal. So I'm just going to highlight a few things here. The numbers I provided are actual enrollment numbers other than day camps. Day camp is offered on a weekly basis, so there's so many changes each week, we just took an average. So from 2021 to this year, we've increased about 30 kids per week, and that's getting back to where we were in 2019 and earlier. Other highlights I want to mention, the one program that's listed on here that's showing a decline actually isn't as sad as it looks, is tennis. Tennis was probably our biggest growing program during COVID. That makes sense. Outdoors, only a couple people on the court, a lot of space between people. Tennis did really, really well. It rebounded during COVID. So we had 124 people in our summer tennis program in 2021. Last year we had 109, and now we have 76. When you look at 2020 and prior, we averaged about 30 people that signed up for tennis lessons and programs through the Park District. So from 30 to 76, we're still 2.5 times where we were pre-COVID. So it is declining, but I think it's just settling back a little bit to where it normally was. What else did I want to highlight on here? Obvious one, pickleball. You know, obviously we've had courts now for a few years, but we didn't have programs initially. And so in 2022, we started offering lessons and some league play, and we had 94 people in the summer of 22. That's a lot for a first-time program. Well, now we have 175. So of that 175, I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty confident in these numbers. We offer instructional classes for 8 people max, and they were full, and we had 8 classes of 8 people. So about 64 of those were instructional. The remaining 100 plus were more in some type of match or league play, that people just want to go out and play with other people. So it's not as much teaching as it is more about getting a chance to get out and play against others in an organized format. So we'll continue, obviously, to keep building pickleball as needed, as best we can. Swim lessons. Swim lessons, pre-COVID was in the 300 range, about 300 kids in swim lessons. It dropped, it rebounded in 2021. 2022's numbers are lower. We had about 200 kids in swim lessons because the renovations that took place at Lakeview. We had our swim lessons outside, and we had reduced time slots. There was less time available, which is what brought the number down. I put an asterisk next to this year's numbers because, as you know, we've switched to a partnership with the British Swim School. And that 203, they now have 411 kids in the summer program. So that's doing better than we did prior to COVID. So it's doing very well. I've had very, very little negative feedback. They've had some cancellations due to some staffing personal issues that they lost, but they offer free makeup classes. Put it this way, to accommodate some of the people that had significant cancellations in this 1 or 2 week window, they're offering a month free for those people. So they're really going out of the way to provide quality customer service. Youth basketball is not a summer program, but I put it on here because it's one of our bigger annual programs, and it's nice to highlight. I'll just say that in 2020, so that was the year COVID hit, but the basketball season was just about over with. So the number we had in 2020 was 322 kids. We got into February, the program runs through March. We just had to cut it short, but the number represented well because COVID hadn't hit 322 as a marker. 2020 was very small, of course. We were very proud in 21, to have 99 kids. We tried to offer it in a different format so they could play still and have social distancing. It was something. And then in 22, boom, it jumped back to 284 kids. This past winter, we had 329. So we're back slightly above where we were in 2019-20. On top of those 329 kids, we partnered with the Mundelein Park District because sometimes in certain age groups or genders, in this case, 5th and 6th grade girls, we didn't have enough to run a league for themselves. We had 2 teams, they had 2 teams. So we said, why don't we put it together and create a league of 4 teams? I think it's because we had a more established program. They came to us instead of like sharing resources. They just joined us. And in 7th and 8th grade boys, we had 4 teams. They had 2. Give them more competition. Let's make it 6 teams. So in addition to our 329, there was probably 40 or 50 more kids that were in that came from Mundelein. So it's nice to partner with your neighbors sometimes and help each other out. We've done that before when we used to run the youth baseball program. I think sometimes the softball leagues would share resources. So that was excellent. And then finally, I didn't really touch on the dance because I've mentioned it before, how it's grown. You can see our summer dance has gone from 30 to 90 to 126. It's doing great. And then I just close by reminding you all that we do, it's funny, it's the same night that Jared was here, but we do survey our program participants on a regular basis. It's the balance between, you gotta ask them if they're happy and what we can do better and what they want. But we don't want to ask every person in every class of every session. They would just be inundated with surveys. So the general approach is that we just try and balance it out with all the supervisors. We try and cover each program area annually. So if we get each some of the big ones like basketball and dance, we do those every year. But some of them we just hit them a season at a time. But they tabulate the results that are on an online survey. They put them onto a summary sheet that they share with me with what their recommendations are, if anything. And then that's what we file away, and we just maintain those on a regular basis, because as he had talked about, we do want to hear what our residents want from us. That's why we're here, to make sure we do it the right way. So,
Are you asking them that via paper survey or in an app? Are they filling out something electronically? How are we actually asking?
It's sent electronically. Constant contact is usually what
Okay.
we use, and they respond that way.
Very good.
Any questions? Otherwise, that's all I've got for you on this report.
Tom, is it possible that the tennis is down because we have less tennis courts? Because of, we've converted old tennis courts to pickleball courts?
Good question, but I don't think so. Because a lot of these lessons are indoors in the fall, winter, spring with Life Sport. That's who we partner with in Libertyville and Lincolnshire.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of these are indoors. In the summer, we combine it. We do bring them outside to do tennis. But yes, they do share it with pickleball. But I don't think it's had an impact because there's other places to do it. We haven't had that problem.
Yeah, I think just Bruce to follow up on that. So we did take 2 tennis courts out at Deer Path and convert to pickleball, but then we added 2 courts at Lashen Park, which was not our park, where the village used to maintain, and they turned that property over to us. So we have not subtracted any tennis courts. And then in light of that too, we finally have some use at the high school too, has been, in the past, let us do some lessons, which we never got to. So there's another bank of courts. So if anything, we've probably added more tennis availability to, for our residents.
Any questions? Okay, thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's see. The fourth item of new business is the 2023 Aquatic Center roofing replacement recommendation. May I have a motion to award the project to Anthony Roofing of Tecta America in the amount of $93,282.59 for the asphalt shingles and not to exceed $20,000, yes, for the skylight replacement for a total of not to exceed $14,000 for the proposed work.
114,000.
What did I say? 114,000, not to exceed for the proposed work.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion?
Can I just add, this is part of our bond issue that we did earlier this year. This is one of those projects for roofing replacement, so it's got an allocated fund that we're accounting for, okay?
Important. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Jacobs?
Can I ask a question though?
Yes.
Now, what if we didn't have skylights? We just, because some of the skylights were roofing over, right? So would we save $20,000 by not having skylights?
Yeah, so we brought that to multiple staff in terms of, because the facilities are dark, and having the locker rooms and the offices and having the natural light in there, it just adds a lot better environment to bring natural light into the facility, so we don't have to use electricity, quite frankly, during the day. So,
Trade-off, right? Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Commissioner Geraldo?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Vice President Senti.
Yes. The final item of new business is the 2023 snow removal equipment purchase recommendation. We have a motion to award the purchase of a new 2023 Boss SR Mag for Parks Department sidewalk snow removal operations to Lunier Implement out of Eureka, Illinois, in the amount of $24,623.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Geraldo?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Vice President Senti.
Yes. Superintendent Mitchell, are there any changes to the financial reports on file for the period ending June 30th, 2023?
No changes.
Thank you. At this time, the board will hear staff reports. And this month, we're going to start with Park Superintendent James Kemp.
Hello, everyone. Just want to shout out thanks to the Vernon Hills 4th of July Committee for putting on a great celebration this year, and the park board for walking behind the trailer and throwing out candy. It was a good time, and a lot of people did show up for it, more than years past. Let's start with general park announcements. Our water levels are still low in our district. We're still considered in our moderate severe droughts under the U.S. Drought Monitor. A lot of our trees and plants are becoming stressed and reverting to survival mode. If there's any questions, please contact the Parks Department. The mentioned tree memorial donation program is closed for the time being. We just ask people who are interested to continue contacting the Parks Department for any requests, and we'll file them away in the order received in case we ever open the program again in the future. Some project updates. Staff are coordinating a water heater install at the Lakeview Center in August. Coordinating a new partition install for Sullivan Center Gym A right behind me. Coordinating a timeline for asphalt resurfacing for Century Park, Indianwood Drive, and considering Lakeview Cricket Pitch Drive, and the Lakeview Fitness Center parking lot for this September. Jeff and I are working with Gewalt Hamilton on coordinating initial documents for the OSLAG grants over at Hartman. Continue to work with the team on the Turtle Creek Spray Ground project. And the other two items the board has already approved. We had a community meeting at one of our parks. We just thank everyone that attended to the recent Lake Charles Park meeting this past Saturday. Staff will take comments, put together a draft for Lake Charles Park at a future board meeting. If you did not attend, please feel free to contact either board members or staff with any comments. We are having a park board meeting over at Hawthorne Valley December 28th, starting at 5 with the park chat, followed by a regular park board meeting. All are welcome to come. Please bring comments. We'll be talking about some developments for Hawthorne Park as well as the CV Ditch project. National Night Out is next Tuesday, August 1st. It's not a park district event, but please, if you have questions, comments, or concerns, or see what's going on, please visit the Vernon Hills Police Department website or the Village of Vernon Hills website for more details. And that's all I have for tonight. If there's any questions.
James, do you know what time that starts, National Night Out? I know it's not our event.
4 to 8.
4 to 8. Thanks. Anybody? No? Thank you so much, James. Next up is Marketing and Communications Manager, Cheryl Buman.
Good evening. Our fall program guide is posted to our website. We have hard copies in our facility, and residents for Hill should reach their mailbox tomorrow or Saturday at the latest. So that is apply, and August 1st starts non-resident registration. Remember, this is our book, it's 16 pages on average, less, a lot of QR codes, so we welcome any type of comments from our community or staff or board once you take a look at it. We've had a lot of emails go out about various programs and events. A lot of our affiliates have asked us to spread the word about their programs, which we have. Our Family Aquatic Center group run that is going on for our whole season here. We've received 2 payments. We've received 2 payments every month on the 1st and 15th. So our total payments in July is $20,939.50. And that's just about double for our July total revenue for last year. So we've had a really good season. It's very warm here, so I think that contributes to a lot of the sales. The last day to redeem Groupon is our last operating day, which is August 13th, 2023 of this summer. And just, if people filled out the survey that Groupon asks, 62% of the people who do purchase a Groupon to our aquatic center this season are new to the aquatic center. They've never been there before. The top town users come from Vernon Hills, Buffalo Road, Round Lake, Hawthorne Woods, Mundelein, and Libertyville. Again, with the Family Aquatic Center, it's very much in our news because it's our popular facility amenity. For our website, it was the most visited page in the past month, with 28.5% of the total sessions that people use our website for. 5,000 of the sessions were new users, so that may be the people who purchase coupons, checking out the Aquatic Center. Our second most visited landing page is our home page, which obviously leads people to all the other pages. We've enhanced or put more information out about our vandalism reporting page, so now you can go to 3 different places on our website. We do have a slide now, so when you click on our slide, it takes you right to our page. It lists about our vandalism reporting and who to contact. We also have an icon underneath the slide. It's called vandalism reporting. And that, again, brings you always back to the same large page that we have. And we also have it under our district information. So we have a lot of places that people do see any type of vandalism, report it. We want to hear from you. Our Lakeview website, just doing a little bit of reporting from that. It was very similar to last month. Still, the top referral is from our district website. So people are going to our district website, seeing our Lakeview Fitness tab, and then reaching it through there. The top page is visited for their homepage, membership, and their performance about pages. Our biggest event of the year is coming up soon. We are working on all the marketing for RibFest. The website pages are all live. We have posters that are out. We have our sale tags ready to go the week prior. I've scheduled our post-it notes in Daily Herald. We have some print ads going. We have some Facebook ads, so you'll be seeing more and more about our RibFest marketing as the next week and days go on. Also, a press release has been sent to all the media, so everybody's aware of our event coming up later next month. We did hold a community outreach program, which we call Time to Play. We just recently did it, and we were over in Deer Path Park. We made sun catchers. We had enough supplies for 60 crafts, and exactly 60 kids came. I was holding my breath because I didn't want to turn anybody away. But the kids had a great time. It was a really nice craft. It was a real pretty sunny day. People really, really appreciated this free program. So we've been doing it for a couple of years now, and we'll continue to do it as time permits. And I've also just listed for your information our social media, what's happening, what people are looking at. So our big story was about the lazy river last month. And for Lakeview is our Kids Corner babysitting, and there was a video about our half marathon program. And currently we do have a social media challenge. It's for children trying to get in 50 hours of play during the month of July. We do have families letting us know that they have completed it, and each child gets a jump rope, and then we'll just pick one random raffle winner from all the kids, and they'll get a little summer fun package from us. And the deadline to submit their hours is August 6th. And that's my report. If you have any questions.
I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying the social media posts and all the staff that is participating in those. They're really delightful. So good to see that with our marketing materials. Okay, next up is Facility Manager Lacey Marinenko.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Facility attendance for June 2023 was 7,489 visits. 966 of these were unique visits. Our current membership totals are 1,250. So this is up almost 50 from last month. So we're looking good. As James mentioned, National Night Out is on Tuesday, and while this isn't a Park District event, Park District staff will be out there, so we will have a Lakeview table and tent out on site. We do have some coloring pages that we'll have out there, some little activities, and we have a volleyball team that will be representing Lakeview as well, so if you want to come out and watch the volleyball tournament. In case people aren't aware, Lakeview does Member Appreciation Day every month. We try to rotate the day of the week that we do it, the time of day that we do it, and we have different snacks throughout the day. We serve coffee every day, but that is an additional amenity that we have for the Member Appreciation Day. Sometimes we'll have other giveaways, and we also allow all of our members to bring a guest for the day. So we want to make people aware that we do have these. Our next one is coming up on Friday, August 18th. We are celebrating the Dog Days of Summer. So we will have some human treats and some dog treats for the day. Lakeview Fitness also hosted the third quarter IPRA Facility Management Board Meeting and Fitness Center Committee Roundtable. We were discussing different retention efforts that park districts have at their agencies. We had 32 registrants, and we were able to showcase the renovations at Lakeview. So this was a rescheduled meeting. We were supposed to have it earlier in the year, but it worked out perfectly that we were able to have it this month, as now the patio is finished. So we were really able to showcase the whole renovation project. Water aerobics at the Family Aquatic Center is finishing up. We had 29 participants in this final session. There were 2 sessions this summer. Mighty Kids is coming up. We have 80 kids registered so far. So just as a reminder, this will be at the Family Aquatic Center this year. And it will take place in the District 73 School District South Campus. The registration deadline is August 3rd. So while we do have a rain date, I think that is could be potentially preventing people from registering. So the weather is looking really good for Saturday, so we are pushing more for that Saturday date, and we will only use Sunday if there are storms on Saturday. Hops and Hatha on the patio was a fun event. It took place this month. We had 11 participants, and the positive feedback, we have positive feedback from everybody, and they did request that we have it on the patio again next year. The half marathon training program just kicked off, and we ended up with 12 participants, which is really great for a new program. So we're excited to cheer on the participants when they do their first half marathon in October. We had 73 people purchase the summer education pass, which was about $8,000 in revenue, and this was about a 26% increase from last year. Lastly, Lakeview Fitness is now working with a customer relationship management company called Plan to Play. We are supposed to be launching hopefully this month. We're kind of working with ActiveNet to make sure that everything gets live and may get pushed into August, but essentially what this will do is automate emails. So a big benefit of this will be when somebody requests a free trial on our website, they'll get an automated email. So somebody doesn't have to be sitting behind a computer to send that email for them to redeem their free trial. It'll be automatic. And then it'll have follow-up emails, so there'll be a workflow, and we'll be able to keep track of people if they have redeemed their free trial, if they haven't, when they purchase a membership, and we'll be able to kind of track their journey and keep Lakeview Fitness top of mind for our existing and potential clients. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Lacey, is that mostly what they focus on, this company that you just mentioned, to follow up on the free trial, or are there other things that they might do regarding customer relations or retention?
So that's just a piece of what they offer.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the only piece that we were taking advantage of at this
Okay.
time. But another Another benefit that they have is kind of tracking people for our existing members. If they haven't been into the facility in a few weeks, they'll send an email just to keep in contact with them. So in addition to getting new members, this is also a retention tool that we intend to use.
The only other thing is, I was wondering for members who use the Lakeview Fitness and they're interested to know which classes are on the patio. I know we can't say always because it's depending on the weather, but over time, as we're beginning to explore that, it's more likely maybe that certain classes are outside. Is there a way that maybe we can let our members know which ones would typically be outside if weather permits?
There is definitely a communication tool through there that we can do. Yeah, we can email through the system.
Great.
And there is the option for text messaging also.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you very much. Finance and HR Superintendent Jessica Mitchell.
Good evening. Financials for the month of June include the following highlights. The district received $2,649,936 of property tax revenue. Through June, the district has received $2,866,000, or 48% of the 2022 tax levy dollars. As of June 30th, the district has $8,815,000 in cash and investments. $4,607,000 is invested in 29 certificates of deposit with various maturing dates over the next 60 months. $4,208,000 is available for cash flow purposes. In June, capital expenditures were $27,669. Spray ground engineering expenses totaled $9,000 in June. $17,700 was spent on miscellaneous park improvements and $500 on miscellaneous SRA expenses. Wage reporting requirements were met for the second quarter of the calendar year. This includes withholding income tax reports for the state, federal tax return, and IDES quarterly wage reports. All were filed electronically in June to meet all of our deadlines. The district's member agency contributions of $160,000 for Special Recreation Association of Central Lake County were also paid in June, as well as our member contribution to the Healthy Minds, Healthy Bodies MAC program for disabled veterans at $3,485. Human resource updates include the district's DISC analysis program is continuing to develop. On June 23rd, the Little Learners Child Care full-time staff participated in a department workshop to discuss their DISC survey results. HR specialist Shauna Hedke and myself facilitated the group discussions. And the half-day meeting was aimed to impact morale, retention, communication, and team building. Also, an update on the DEI committee efforts. We are now creating a monthly newsletter to provide educational components and celebratory details on such topics. The first newsletter was shared with staff in early July. That concludes my report, unless there's any questions I can answer.
I think we're good. Thank you so much. Recreation Superintendent Tom Ritter, you're back.
Back to one.
All right, well, I just wanted to thank our residents and non-residents that turned out to our second annual wine tasting. It was timed much better than last year. Last year was a first-time event. We got a prime night. It was our anniversary day. It was a good turnout. I wasn't able to attend, but we did have 8 vendors there to serve approximately 45 different varieties of wine, and we sold over 500 tastings. So I would say that was a very good evening. So thanks for everyone to come out, and we plan on doing that again in the future, continuing to grow the program. A couple of events that are coming up as we wind down the summer. I don't know where the summer went, but as we get into August, we have 2 more events. I just wanted to mention, next Wednesday, August 2nd, we will have a Go Walk in the Lazy River. Usually has a pretty strong turnout. It's a free event. There's no registration necessary. It's from 6 to 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. And then on Friday, August 4th, we'll be hosting Last Splash. It's our last event of the summer season. This is when the lifeguards run a lot of games throughout the day for everybody. Just keep the kids active, do different activities. We have a dunk tank, we have a duck race, and then everybody who comes in gets a voucher for a free ice cream cone from Bubbles. So it's a nice day, nice conclusion to summer. And just to remind everybody, we are, I think Cheryl did mention it, but we are open fully through Sunday, August 13th this summer. Not real confident about tomorrow's movie in the park. We'll see. We usually run this event, but I just like people to understand that there's a lot of expensive equipment that's outside. So even if the rain comes and goes, even a sprinkle can really damage the projector, and you know, the screen itself is very hard to dry out when it gets wet. So we're going to make a decision by lunchtime tomorrow between the heat and or there are some thunderstorms in the forecast. But if we do host the movie, it is free. It's our second movie in the park. It's going to be Jumanji, and we start at dusk. So we will announce something with social media on the website regarding tomorrow. As we all know, RibFest is coming up. This is just more of a reminder to our residents. Don't forget about RibFest. If it's not on your calendar, mark it for August 18th and 19th, Friday and Saturday evening. We are excited to say we have 6 rib vendors back this year. That number kind of varies each year. I want to say maybe one year we had 7, but we felt that was too much because it was too diluted, let alone space requirements. But sometimes we've had less and the lines get really long, or 6 is great, and we were able to get 6 rib vendors this year. So we're looking forward to it. The Bourbon Bar will be back. Great blues lineup as well. The information is on the Park District's website regarding RibFest. We're getting ready for the PALS After School program this coming fall. Obviously, it's concurrent with the school year. We use 3 schools, elementary north, south, and the kindergarten building. Just for comparison's sake, last year the school year ended with about 180 kids. We have about 155 right now. So they'll probably grow as people realize, childcare needs, haven't planned for that. So I anticipate we'll be in a similar number as last year. There are slightly fewer hours because the school year has expanded. They've made for longer school days now. So obviously it's a little bit shorter hours of childcare services. But table tennis, I usually bring this up once or twice a year. We have it offered here at the Sullivan Center on Tuesday and Friday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. It's just a $5 drop-in fee, but we get on average about 30 players. It's a really very successful program. Some nights we're pushing 40, which is crazy, but very, very, very successful program. And we always encourage more players to come out. The softball season for the summer for adults is coming to a conclusion. We'll be finishing in August. They end with a single elimination tournament. And then fall leagues will begin after Labor Day. So for those that are interested, they can contact the Sullivan Center, or more specifically Jay Bowman, who runs the leagues. And finally, as we prepare for the preschool year, we are doing really well. Numbers are very strong, but we still do have a few openings. So it's kind of like saying if we have 2 preschool classes for, say, 4-year-olds, and this one fills with a waiting list, we usually work hard to shuffle people around to fill the other one. So there's a good balanced enrollment in all of our preschool classes, but there are a few openings. So if people are still in need of preschool services this fall, there are openings. Julie's going to be offering meet and greets so the kids can get to know their teachers and the classrooms on August 31st and September 1st. School begins the day after Labor Day, so it's the 5th of September. And that's my report, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Tom.
Well,
And next, Executive Director Jeff Fougeroux.
Okay, I'm going to stay seated and go through this. So just a reminder, next month for the board, we'll have our regular scheduled meeting at 6 p.m., but prior to that, we have the decennial commission meeting, and it's a requirement for all board members to attend that as part of the statute. So you received information with the 3 items that we've sent to our 2 committee members from the public, and you're going to run it just like a regular meeting. Amy and I will be present. We won't televise it, but we'll record it, take minutes, and it's an opportunity for our public members to ask questions to the board on the 3 items that we sent for review. There'll be a second meeting. We're required to do 3 meetings within an 18-month period. The second meeting will occur in April of '24, and then the final meeting in August of '24. And there's a slew of items that are strongly encouraged for us to share with our community members, and we'll make sure that those are happening. And then after the board meeting, we're going to have our strategic planning workshop with Sarah Armstrong will be here to lead that, with just the board members and myself. So it will be a long day. We will have plenty of food and refreshments, but expect to be here by 4:30, and I have no idea what time we'll get done. That really is up to you guys in terms of the strategic component to it, but likely in the 8:30, 9 o'clock hour, I'm guessing, for your benefit, okay? And let me know if you have any questions regarding that.
Excuse me,
Yep.
Jeff, you mentioned 3 items. Have you sent anything out on that?
Yeah, we mailed them to all of you. We emailed them to all of you. I'm not going to print those 3 documents because they're about 500 pages, Bruce. So check your email, please.
I never got it.
Well, look at your VH Park District
Okay,
site.
thank you.
I believe that's where Amy sent it to last week. And then let me know if you didn't,
Okay.
okay? And then the Turtle Creek Water Park, the spray ground project, that, as you know, we relocated the site, and so we're working with the project team and still getting those drawings completed and then resubmitted. But I believe I shared with you the update on that. The commencement of that will probably be sometime in October instead of August. So expect a delay in terms of that being completed for the summer of '24. Thanks to everybody for showing up for Vernon Hills Days on our Saturday evening event. I think you all bore witness to, it was a really huge crowd. The committee was really, obviously, was very happy to see that, as well as all the other vendors. So thank you for that. Hopefully we see a similar turnout for Rib Fest. And then we do have our auditors coming in the week of, beginning this Monday, right, the 31st. So they're here just to, do their thing all week, and then they'll prepare a draft sometime in September. They'll send that to Jessica, and then we'll make sure we share that with Bruce as our audit chairperson from the board, and review that before we bring it to the board, and they come back and do a presentation before the full board. More likely October, we'll see that when they're scheduled to come back. The pickleball, just kind of update, with the new acoustical curtains we put up, the signage, we put up new signage about the time frame for the public. We moved the start time from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. We put up some additional signage about, being respectful of the neighbors and do not play music while you're out there. So we want to just remind our residents to do that. Those courts, are busy from sun up to sundown every day of the week. And, I think at this point, everything seems to be, status quo in terms of the follow-up on that. And, we'll just see. Hopefully things will continue to prosper there. Lastly, thanks to the board members that attended the Lake Charles neighborhood meeting we had this past Saturday. We had, I think, 16 members from the neighborhood show up. And they had a lot of questions about the water quality of the lake, which really isn't our responsibility. Unfortunately, no one from the village was able to attend. I did speak afterwards with the village manager, Kevin Timoney, about people's concerns relative to that. So as James mentioned in his report, he and I, James, took some notes, a lot of good notes on what people were, asking for in terms of just a plan. We're looking into, fencing, if that's an option. Greg's Landing doesn't typically permit that. So I'm just waiting on the village's response on that. But in the interim, James and I will work on just putting a plan together, phasing over a period of years. This is not an overnight flip. And then we'll share that information with the residents again in that neighborhood. There was a lot of questions about, there's a pier that is down right now. And so James is working on a cost to, see what that would entail. And then just again, a timeline for us if we want to reintroduce that, when we want to reintroduce that. So we'll put those together. I'll share those with the board before we send it out to the community. But from a timing standpoint, I want to get something out to them within the next couple weeks so they know that, we are on top of what they were asking us to do. I don't know for Abra or Carol, if you have any other insight, that you want to share while you were present there.
Other than we appreciate them coming out and sharing their thoughts and concerns and hopes for what things might change into, or, there were some personal requests, but obviously we can't honor, all of those, but it was a good meeting.
It was a great meeting. I like when we have those, and we've had them before, but this was a larger group. I think James and Jeff, you guys did an excellent job. President Dorhofer as well. It was nice to just watch that. Everyone doesn't have the same opinion, but it's nice to just have it be very transparent and open and give the residents who live there a chance to let us know what they think.
Yeah, and as James mentioned in his report too, in September, we're going to be out at Hawthorne Melody. I think that's something that we're trying to position, which is getting out and asking people. I'll be out at National Night Out with Lacey and her staff, and if any of you can do that, again, we're going to have a table there, booth, and we're going to ask people, what do you like? Just short little survey. I thought Dave's question to the Lake Charles group about how do you want to be communicated to, as a lead question. And that's really important for us. I think this last episode we had with the spray ground in the river, I think was a good, valuable learning lesson for all of us from a listening standpoint and a delivery, and what can we do to continue to message and get things out to people, and how we can do that is important and valuable. So I think the more we do that, the better, I think, as we alluded to earlier in our intro with our survey, is just that's what we want to do. That's what we want our public to know. So that's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions if anybody else, anything.
Any questions for Jeff?
Thank you.
Let's see, there are no commissioner committee reports or communications to be heard tonight. There is no board correspondence to be heard, and there is no unfinished business. So we will wrap up with commissioner comments. Commissioner Robbins, do you have anything tonight?
Nothing this evening.
Okay. Commissioner Geraldo.
None on my part.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Nothing for me.
Okay, I do have something, sorry. I know it's been a long evening, but I just wanted to say, with the parade and the 50th anniversary, summer celebration, all of that, even what we just did at Lake Charles Park, I have to say, in the community survey, I couldn't be more proud to be on this board. Like, what everyone, the whole team, board, staff does, from the effort to create the parade float, and it was really fun to do that together with everybody, and so the summer celebration team, all the local governmental entities, to see how many people came out to enjoy it. I mean, summer is a great time, and I know you guys work so hard, and so I just want to say thank you. It's very heartwarming, and it just makes you feel good to serve.
So can I just back up?
Sure.
Carol, and we are not going to do a closed session, so just to make that clear. Okay.
Do I need to say any of that? I was going to skip to the end.
Well, I think
Or
if you're
should I
doing,
mention
because
it?
if you're doing commissioner comments, that's fine, and then you can go to that, that's all. Before we adjourn, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, my comment was done, so you said it, right?
Well,
Or do you
should say,
want-
yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to say we are not going to have a closed session tonight because we are in agreement to proceed with the matter at hand, and we have given our director direction to proceed. Is that adequate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So then, having addressed all items on the agenda, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah. Second? No discussion. No. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Geraldo?
Yes.
Vice President Senti?
Yes, the time is 7:44. Not my fault. We had a lot on the agenda. The regular meeting is now adjourned.